Welcome back to Stories from the River. I'm Heather Greenwood, and I'm excited to be hosting a very cool mini-series introducing the People Allies. Today, I'm joined by Carlos Mendez and Emelyne Henderson, two leaders on our People team, to talk more about the transformation from human capital to people. Let's go.
Welcome to Stories from the River, a show in which we go behind the scenes at Broad River Retail.
Okay, welcome to Stories from the River. Carlos, you are a first-timer here, so welcome so much. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Heather. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. And Emelyne, welcome back. Maybe a different seat today, but welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here again.
So for those people, Emelyne, you've been here before, but as a reminder, and Carlos, you being newer to the podcast, will you just tell our friends at home what you do at Broad River and how long you've been with us?
Awesome. So I'm Carlos Mendez. I am the Learning and Development Manager, and I've been with Broad River for a year and about 6 months.
An amazing year and 6 months.
Absolutely.
We're
It's been a
happy
great
to have
time.
you.
Thank you for receiving me. It's been a great experience so far. Absolutely.
My name is Emelyne Henderson, and I am the manager of Memory Maker Experience. So everything to do with engagement, celebration, recognition of our memory makers. I've been with Broad River since August of 2018 when I started as an intern.
I love it. So you guys have both been here and had different experiences, but on this mini-series, we're excited to talk about the transformation from human capital to people and kind of why we made that change, and for you all as leaders in the department, what that felt like, what it has felt like, and where we go from here. So we're going to set kind of the stage on some of this and go back a little bit of the history of it. So Emelyne, during your time in the Human Capital Department over the years, can you tell me a little bit about our growth in our department? How has the department changed and elevated during the past several years?
Yeah, when I think about our growth as a department, I think about when we used to have weekly Friday meetings in our Tiger River office space, which maybe seated about 20 people comfortably. And we started to grow and that space got a little tight. We had to add some chairs. And now our team's almost doubled in size. And we do monthly all hands because we're just too big to get to one room weekly. I think back to when our learning and development team was Heather and myself, and now we have our MMX team, which has like 10 people on it now, and it's grown so much. And I think about the ways that we have added to our team and adjusted our team to fit the needs of Broad River. And so today we have business partners, which is something we've never had before, to really be direct support to our different departments. And we have different teams. Memory Maker Experience was not a thing when I first started at Broad River, and it's developed based on Broad River, our culture, who we are, and what we need.
It's been an amazing journey. A lot has happened, certainly a lot different than when you joined us as an intern, and how many interns we've had since, which also is a good feeling. So Carlos, being newer to the team, can you share with us how you see the human capital team interact with the company and our memory makers? How does it look and how does it feel?
Absolutely. So, as Emelyne was sharing, I can see how much the team has grown. And one of the things that I first noticed is just how connected to the business people in the human capital team were, and how caring the connections that are forged. So someone like Emelyne, like knowing so many people across the business and being so passionate about supporting all individuals, and so I think that is something that I really noticed, and I was striving and looking for an organization that was people-centered, and I think that the human capital team, when I arrived, really embodied that. And so I'm excited for where we are going as well, because it continues to expand on being people-centered, people-focused, and really taking care of the people that make Broad River so special.
I love that. I love that. We talk a lot about connecting. Because that was our past word of the year, and what that looks like and feels like. And it's important across the company, but particularly in what we do in the human capital space. So Emelyne, we're going to go back a little bit. You were with us 2 years ago when Jocelyn first brought the idea of people to the department. We were in a December all hands meeting. We had created a deck. What did you think about it? Tell us about that moment when she brought up people on the screen.
Yeah, I remember it really well, actually. When she brought it up, I felt like it got kind of quiet and everyone was like, what's happening? Like, it was kind of almost like change. Like, when change hits, like that little bit of like resistance immediately, like not even, it's just like reactionary. You're just like, oh no, what's happening? Like, this is different. I don't like it. Not that we didn't like the name, but just change in general. And I think there's this other feeling too, and something that I so appreciate about Jocelyn and you and Chrissy when she was here as leaders, is that was the first time I think we'd ever been asked something like that, something that big for our department, changing the whole name. I mean, there is so much weight that we put in human capital. And at Broad River Retail, we're very intentional about the language that we choose to use. It becomes a part of our culture. And human capital was such a part of our culture that the thought of changing it to something different was like really kind of scary. We were like, whoa, okay. So it had to sink in. We had a good conversation about it. And you guys kind of just got our feedback. Like, how do you feel about this? What do you think? And then we talked about why the change and why you thought it was necessary. And I think that was a really cool moment for us to be involved. And I think that's kind of the start to where our team started to change a little bit. So I think earlier we talked about how the team has kind of elevated, and I think our team has been challenged to be more involved in decision making and be, our word of the year this year is pioneer. So be pioneers in our own department and to stretch. And I think that was kind of the start of something different for our team.
You take me back to that moment too, and so much work had gone into getting to that day. And I remember being very nervous about what's going to happen when I flip the slide. And here's, 25 people staring at you. You feel in your heart, it's such a good idea. You're convicted. And then I remember the quiet and the pause, which is never easy when you're standing in front of a group of people. But I remember like looking at people's faces and the eyes and then one person talked and another. But it was so important to us, not that it was just the come in next day and, oh, by the way, the department has changed, surprise. But are we all bought in? Are we all a part of it? Do we understand what it looks like? So during that meeting, Emelyne, we showed like a side-by-side of what is human capital, or how is it maybe seen as or perceived in the world, or sometimes, some terms, HR or HC, and then people. So what really the differences are between the two and why we felt so compelled to move to the title people. So tell us a little bit about, what do you remember about the differences, human capital to people?
As a company, we always want to stay relevant and with, what's going on in the world. And so we originally moved from human resources to human capital because we wanted a mindset shift. We didn't want to view our people as resources. We really viewed them as something we wanted to invest in and grow. And so we talked about capital. But that was, years before I even got to Broad River. And so I think it was time for a change. And when we think about the differences and we think about the department we want to be, we really want to be a department that is strategic, that's collaborative. We talked about the difference of the people really focusing on the business versus human capital, we're in the business. So we want to be more hands-on, more innovative, and also more proactive than reactionary. So those were a couple of the differences we talked about.
Yeah, we talk about mindset shifts. And as our team continues to grow, the things that we're doing around strategy and innovation, they're next level.
Right.
We're not doing all these things behind the scenes, which are so important to what we do, but we're actually taking piece and part of our business, knowing our business, which Carlos talked about, and being great strategic partners in what that looks like, which feels good. So Carlos, for you, coming in where you've come in and hearing and getting ready and then preparing for the shift this year, people, how does that resonate with you, being a part of the people team or the people department?
Absolutely. I think it highlights the importance of our work, right? Like at the end of the day, we are all about supporting our people, and what makes Broad River Retail special is our people. I also love Jocelyn and you all's intentionality, right? Like not only are we changing our name, but I think it fits in where we are as a department, like really being, again, innovative, changing the way that we collaborate, being more intentional about the relationships we build, the information that we gather from the business, how we support the business strategically. I think, to me, the name shift and shifting to people speaks to that. And I think it does help us kind of shift our mindset and just kind of get in that space. I think we're moving faster as a department. We're doing a lot of new innovative things with technology. And I love the fact that we can think outside the box. So to me, the name change represents all of that, with still the focus being on the people that make this place so special.
I love that. I love that. You talk about that, Carlos, and it makes me think of the concept we talk about a lot, stretching.
Absolutely.
Right? I think of how you two have stretched already this year, and it's only Q1. But the things that you've done and how you've elevated and how that may have been different a year ago, or it could be different next year, but how you guys are really rising to the challenge of what that looks like. So, Carlos, fast forward a little bit to this past December. We got our team together. We did this 2-day all hands, and to celebrate the close of 2024 and really kick off 2025. Tell the listeners a little bit about what this 2-day all hands looks and feels like.
Absolutely. So one, getting the whole department together in the training room. So Emelyne talked about in the past, there was less than 20 people. We're like, 45, 50 strong now. And so having everyone in the room is just energizing and it's exciting. This year was interesting because we had to do our end of year projects and present it to members of the executive team, right? And so you had a little bit of nerves, but I think once we started going, you can see people really excited about the opportunity to get to share things with our leaders, right? And share some of their stretching with our leaders, which I think was really cool. So after that, they were really thankful. I think the energy that I felt the whole time was excitement, appreciation. I think we all recognized this was one of the best years we've had at Broad River Retail. I think we really embodied the word of the year, which was connect, right? And so we were connecting with each other, connecting with the business. And I think those 2 days really kind of crystallized that experience for 2024. I remember when we went to brunch the following day. And again, same energy was there. There was just so much gratitude, especially as we headed into the holidays. And once the announcement came that we were shifting, again, we just all kind of were like, yeah, this makes sense, right? Like the energy that we felt, everything we've built upon in 2024, it just shows that we're moving into the future in a new space, new mindset, and ready to continue to build on everything we've done.
Feels like a long time ago.
I know.
Although I know that was December. That feels like a really long time ago. So Emelyne, on the second day of the meeting, we did an offsite. It was really fun. We revealed our 2025 roadmap, which we do annually, in addition to some other exciting news for 2025. On that day, we revealed the name change to People. Do you remember the reveal? How did you feel? What would you say the team felt in that moment?
Yeah, I think for me, as someone who was there when we first brought up the idea, for me personally, once we revealed it, it was kind of like a breath of fresh air, because it's so funny. Like for 2 years after that, people were like, when are we going to change our name? We talked about this. We were excited. When is it going to happen? And I think that you guys were working behind the scenes to really make that happen for our team. And we appreciate you for doing that. But I think that for me, it was almost like, finally, great. And then I think for others, especially new memory makers in the room, it was just a really cool moment to see where we're going as a department, and to kind of have that trust built that like we're going to continue to improve and elevate, and think of ways to be better. And not only did it come with, hey, here's our name change, but it also came with our logo and identity reveal, which was really exciting too, because we hadn't seen that yet.
It was an exciting day. What about for you, Carlos? In that moment, I remember exactly where you were sitting too, as I'm saying this aloud, and who you were sitting by. How did that reveal, if you will, feel?
So for me, it was surprising. I wasn't here for the initial conversations a couple years ago. And so I remember you all were sharing, like, we have some exciting news. We have some exciting news. And then once that information came out, I was like, yo, this is, again, really cool. It really highlights our focus to continue to be better strategic partners, like Emelyne said, working on the business and being a part of things. And it really speaks to where we're moving as a department. And our continual focus on our people. I know I've said that before, but I really do think that that was one of the biggest intentions with the change, is to like remind us, like, hey, our people are our bread and butter. This is what makes us special. How can everything we do be centered on them and impacting them in the best way we can? And that's kind of what I was thinking. I was sitting right next to Manny, so Manny was like super excited too. And so it was just great to see his reaction, but also recognize, to me, change provides opportunity. It shows that we can continue to shift and move into new realms. And so that's the first thing I thought of. Again, it was like, okay, we're going to continue to innovate and build and move forward. And then the word of the year being pioneering this year, I think it's all just kind of aligning. And I think that the change to the people team and the people department reflects that pioneering mindset.
I love that. And people came before pioneer. So, in a history of our words. So, speaking of our history, Emelyne, you brought up identity. And we're going to talk about this identity here in a minute for the people team. But tell us a little bit, going back in our company's history, identities have become very important to us and what they mean to our purpose, what they mean to us as individuals and teams or departments. So, tell us a little bit about what that means at Broad River.
Yeah, identities are a really big deal at Broad River. And it really started in our stores. So when you have a company that has a corporate office, but then also 30 stores, there's a different vibe everywhere you go. The team changes. They have their own internal culture and environment. And I think it started slowly with a couple of them creating like nicknames for their team and their store, and they're pretty competitive too. So they really cheer for their stores and cheer them on. So it started that way. And then each of our stores developed their own team identity. We unveiled them at I think GM RX, which is, we did a monthly at the time. And not only did they have their identities, but then they also got logos to go along with their identities for all of their stores. That excitement and camaraderie just really started to catch on and catch fire in other departments. And so now our departments have begun creating their identities. So I think, gosh, we almost have one for almost every department at Broad River. When I knew Memory Maker starts, I'm always like, look, it's going to take you a minute to learn the store names and their identities, but it's really important to us. Charlie will tell you we're a very purpose-driven company, and Charlie will say purpose begins with identity. So knowing who you are is kind of where you start when you're looking towards purpose. And so really developing that for our teams. When we have new stores, I think it's really exciting. They get to develop their own identity or new teams. And so, it's become really important for us in our company, and something that we'll continue, I think, to do with our teams.
For a long time, people have asked me to, like, oh, when are you guys going to have a nickname or a logo? And I don't know, and slowly corporate departments, as they came on board, like our friends in finance and marketing and IT and BI. But people are always like, hey, what about us? Hey, what about us in HC? So, Carlos, when we unveiled that day, people allies. Think about the word ally. What does that mean to you?
So to me, an ally is going to provide you with what you need, not necessarily what they want to give you, but rather what you need as a person and as an individual. So to me, it represents us being willing to stand beside, alongside, in front of, behind, wherever our people need us to be. That is where we're going to be. That is what we're going to do. And we have our acronym right, which I think speaks to, again, approaching things in the right way, doing things in the right way. And I think allyship is all about providing your people with what they need to be successful, to do well, not just in the business, but in their personal lives as well, which again is something I really love about Broad River, is that we care more. We care not just about the business outcomes, but also how people are doing individually, how their family members are doing, and how all of that relates to the culture that we're all trying to build.
Absolutely. Emelyne, anything you want to add about the word ally?
I love what you said in the beginning about being there for what they need, not just like pushing what we need, how we show up for our memory makers. And being an ally probably isn't always easy, right? But it shows that partnership and friendship and knowing that someone's going to be there for you, even in those times that are uncertain and unsure, especially during those times. And then also during the times of celebration, to be alongside you. I love that word too. Like walk alongside is kind of what it means to me.
When we thought of the word ally, or, thinking of the right word for your department is, I don't even know where you start, and I don't know how we got to where we ended, because there's just so much emotion that goes into it, and how it represents each member of our team and how they're so uniquely different and great in what they do, and then how everything that each one of them does pours back into our company. Being a people department is so big, and you touch every single person or memory maker in our company. Then how do you sum that up in one word, which becomes a challenge? But I think coming to the word ally and thinking about how important that is and what a big part we play. One of my favorite things in my role is when somebody reaches out to me unexpected, or someone I haven't heard from in a long time, and they just say, "Hey, Heather, can I talk to you about something?" And you're right. It can be something tough to talk about. It can be something celebratory. It can be anything, but we want to be there. We want to be there. We want to be there with our people, living it day in and day out with our people. So part of this ally is the mascot or the logo that you talked about, Emelyne. So the mascot or the identity for the people allies is an elephant. So we went animal themed, which is a little bit different in our company. You don't see a lot of animals. Can you tell us about what the elephant symbolizes and why is it important?
Yeah. So when you think about an elephant, they are great creatures. But you think about wisdom, you think about loyalty and care. When I think about an elephant, I really think about like that just kind of protective spirit. I think of them like walking with their baby elephants, and like just how they protect them. And then also like an elephant, when I think about an elephant, they're not like fast. They're not like a cheetah, like running through everything. Like an elephant is slow. It takes its time. It makes sure that like there's no danger ahead before moving forward. Couple other things about elephants. It's a nurturer. They're often seen as very wise. And the other thing is they have really big ears. So they're great listeners, and we want to be good listeners when we're allies to our people. So there's a lot of things about the elephant that we love that make it such a good fit for our department.
Agreed. Anything you want to add about the elephant, the logo? I'm sure that was a shocking reveal in itself.
It was awesome. And it's funny, Emelyne, I was thinking the same thing about the ears. I was like, it's kind of cheesy, right? But the ears, I think, again, really reflect like we're here to listen. We're here to really understand and try to provide our people with what they need to be successful. And you can't do that unless you really, really seek to listen and you get curious. And so I think it's also very, very representative of that.
I love it. Again, elephant, not what people expected, I think. And taking that journey with Chrissy and Jocelyn many, many, many months ago, and our friends and our marketing team, it was really hard to think of what is that one thing. So now you're people and you're allies, and now paint that picture. And I will give a big nod to Kim and our Marcoms department. And I remember the town hall where she showcased their logo and their identity, and they're the Marcom Macaws. And I remember Kim so eloquently talking about the macaw and how the macaw represented everything that they aspired to be and they wanted to be and what they do creatively every day. And that's what took us on this journey to the elephant. How do we see ourselves? How do we want to be seen? And a lot of those characteristics we see in the elephant and the thoughtfulness and the intentionality around it and the creature itself. So very excited today to be the people allies and have our elephant logo, which people have responded to really well. Big shout out to our friend Nicole. We have very small little elephants on our desk. An elephant is also a sign of luck. So good to have that elephant watching over us as well. So Carlos, you don't know this because this is your first episode, but I always like to throw like a question out there that's not on the paper.
Yeah.
And Emelyne knows, but I won't be super weird today. So you've talked both. You've alluded to the future, growing, changes in the department, and, of course, without spilling all our secrets on air, we'll save those for future episodes. What are you most looking forward to from the people team in 2025?
What I'm most excited about? I'm excited about the energy that we have around, again, being innovative, around bringing in change, which can be very difficult. We've been navigating a lot of change over the last few months, and to see the team kind of embrace that and kind of roll with it, I'm excited to continue to stretch and find ways to impact the business. I see that desire from us across the entire team, and I know that that brings more opportunities to improve systems, to improve the day-to-day quality and life of our memory makers. And so I'm just really excited to continue to innovate and pioneer new initiatives. And I love that our department welcomes that. We think outside the box. We welcome people coming in and trying to find ways to change things in a way that makes sense and helps us move our strategy along forward. And so I'm just really excited for the direction that we're headed and all the innovation that we are continuing to lean into.
I love that. Thank you so much, Carlos. Emelyne?
I have two things.
Okay.
So first is just a personal one. Again, not revealing all of our secrets, but I'm working on a project right now that is hopefully going to launch this year that I think is going to be an amazing and incredible step for Broad River in terms of supporting our people and being there in times when they need us. So I'm very, very excited about that. Maybe we'll have an episode later when gets off the ground. The second thing that I'm really excited about for our people department is our leadership team. We have started kind of last year and this year meeting as managers and leaders across departments. Carlos and Nicole and Alex have been super great supporters of that. And then we're bringing on new leaders to our team, a couple that we're going to get to welcome into our fold. And that's something that I'm new to be a part of, is being a part of a leadership team on the people team. And it's been great to have that support and really talk through ways that we want to grow together and align on the vision that we all have, and you and Jocelyn and Renee included, for the people team and our vision. So that's been really exciting. And so I'm really excited to see how that continues to develop in 2025.
Seems like we have a lot more episodes ahead. So you guys will have to come back. We'll have to get on the docket for several for the rest of 2025. Emelyne, Carlos, thank you so much. Thank you, first of all, for your leadership every day. I'm incredibly thankful for both of you and everything you do for our team. Thank you for joining me today on the podcast and just getting us warmed up on this topic. To our friends at home, our listeners, if you're watching us, thank you for checking out this episode of Stories from the River. Join us as we continue the conversation on our mini-series introducing the People Allies.
Thanks for listening to Stories from the River. To check out more episodes, visit storiesfromtheriver.com. To watch this episode, go to youtube.com/@storiesfromtheriver. Join us again next week, and remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the podcast.